Hi, I'm Ksenia, and I'm pretty sure that from time to time you think about how the internet affects your mind. But did you consider it in the way of other generations? I did. Taking Generation Z, those born between 1996 and 2012, was my choice for my investigation. Additionally, there is Generation X, which comprises those born between 1965 and 1980s. This allows us to take into account clear evidence of generational disparities. As a Zoomer, I spent a lot of time on social media and various websites, but I started to think about technology's perspective on people of other ages, because we're all different and development stages are distinct as well. As a student who is majoring in psychology, I started a research based on my current knowledge and big interest in human development. So the main question that I'm going to cover is that the prolonged exposure to social media affects the cognitive development and information processing abilities of Generation Z and Generation X. How the internet may be changing our cognition. How does it affect people from different eras separately? Who uses social media more? What are the actual differences between generations? All of these questions we need to cover today. For sure, all people have their unique characteristics, and our cognition and general development differ from each other. Even our actions are distinct. According to the Michelle Harvan podcast, the real differences between the generations, there are a ton of distinctions, where Zoomers are more open-minded nowadays. Also, they're more collaborative than Xers. However, older generation, based on the podcast, are more individualistic. Moreover, technologies and life events shape these two eras dramatically. Going back to the main question about the impact of the internet, different people use various technologies in different ways. For example, one of the Lorena Castillo's blogs, which calls Mass Known Social Media Statistics on JitNext portal, presents the statistics that 77.5% of Gen X people are active social media users. And if we look at the next graph, which was presented in a different work paper by Veronica Giarla about the generational differences, some 88% of 18 to 29 years old indicate that they use any form of social media. After a discussion of the distinctions between individuals of different ages, we may get right to the point. How do modern social networks affect our development and consciousness? Prolonged exposure to technology is significantly altering the developmental pathways and cognition of older people as well as the younger generation. During COVID-19, based on the research which named Gen Z during the COVID-19 crisis, a comparative analysis of the differences between Gen Z and Gen X in resilience, values, and attitudes from U.S. National Library of Medicine, which calls authors to provide the information that Zoomers and Xers thought were strongly influenced by things that started to be online. News and fake multimedia posts have raised the risk of depression, anxiety, and other disorders, all of which have a determinal effect on mental health and delay the developmental process for people from 18 to 24. The same tension was also faced by older generations who had trouble utilizing the internet for business and academics at the same time. However, Generation X is influenced by the internet in a negative way for them, while Generation Z has better things for their prospective development. According to a work paper, Generational Social Media, How Social Media Influences the Online and, by Veronica Giarla, the Salem State University student, Xers are inclined to believe that fake news is one of the worries that Gen Xers have for social media use. The bigger concern is the lack of social interactions off-screen that may occur with social media use. These people have anxieties and fears that social media may be moving too fast for them to keep up with, but they are also concerned that their children and grandchildren are being negatively affected by social media. Based on presented information and my knowledge, I can conclude that all of these factors damage parts of cognition, and as a result, their development slows down. Zoomers, based on the study, are advanced with all new technologies and social media websites, where they're pretty open-minded and involved in interactions, while Xers are inclined to have face-to-face communications. Unfortunately, despite all of the advantages, people from this generation have resulted in serious psychological side effects, making this generation more susceptible to social anxieties and antisocial tendencies. Findings from these data showed that presented elements affect humans' cognition dramatically and cause slow progress in emotional and social development. So, as we see, human development is definitely influenced by technological progress nowadays. Social networks bring people together even though we are all unique individuals with particular characteristics, routines, views, and experiences. Social media consumption has impacted individuals in different ways as well, although there are, in my opinion, both good and bad effects. This particular research showed us that both Generation Z and Generation X's cognitive development and capacity for information processing are impacted by the extent use of social media. And now, I want to ask you, did you catch any differences between you, your grandparents, parents, and older siblings in your life progress and mindsets? I would ask you to write it down for me to further research. But now I want to tell you that we are the people who can influence our own development. Make your choices and decisions valuable and be careful with social media.